You walked into that room. Your shirt had a stain. You said the wrong name. You laughed a beat too late. And for the rest of the day, it played on a loop in your head, like everyone saw it, everyone remembers it, everyone is still thinking about it right now. They're not. They forgot within minutes, because they were doing exactly what you were doing, worrying about themselves. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still reminded himself of this daily. If an emperor needed the reminder, so do you. Nobody is watching as closely as you think. Let's talk about why. The spotlight that isn't there. There's a strange trick your mind plays on you. It convinces you that you're standing under a spotlight and everyone in the room is watching, evaluating, judging every move you make. Psychologists have a name for this, the spotlight effect. It's the gap between how much attention you think you're getting and how much you're actually getting. And that gap is enormous. Think about the last time you tripped on a curb in public. Your face went hot. Your mind ran through a dozen strangers' faces, certain they clocked it, certain they were quietly laughing. But ask yourself honestly, can you remember the last time you saw a stranger trip? Probably not. It didn't register. It didn't matter. It vanished from your memory in seconds, the same way your stumble vanished from theirs. Epictetus built his entire philosophy around one clean distinction. Some things are within your control, and some things are not. Your actions, your effort, your character, yours. Other people's opinions, their attention span, what they choose to remember about you, never yours. He didn't say this to sound clever. He said it because most human suffering comes from fighting for control over the second category. You are not the main character in anyone else's story. You are a background extra in 1,000 other lives, just as they are background extras in yours. The spotlight you feel burning on your back was switched off the moment you walked past. Stop performing for an audience that already left the theater. Your own arena, not the crowd's. Marcus Aurelius wrote his private notes not for an audience, but for himself, as reminders to stay steady. One idea he returned to again and again. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person looks like. Just be one, not perform one. Be one. There's a quiet trap in caring what people think. You start optimizing for approval instead of for truth. A young manager once told me she rewrote a proposal 11 times, not because the content was wrong, but because she kept imagining how her director would react to each sentence. 11 drafts spent guessing another person's internal reaction, instead of one draft spent saying exactly what needed to be said. The proposal that finally got approved was draft 1, sent by a co-worker who didn't have time to worry about impressions. This is the arena problem. Marcus pictured his life as an arena he had to walk into and simply do his part, not glance at the stands, not manage the crowd's mood, just perform the task honestly. The stands are unpredictable. Some days they cheer, some days they're silent, some days they've already left. None of that changes what your job actually is. When you shift your attention from what will they think to what needs to be done, something clicks. The imagined jury dissolves. You stop defending yourself to people who were never prosecuting you in the first place. Walk into your arena, do the work, ignore the empty seats you keep imagining are full. Everyone is starring in their own film. Seneca wrote to a friend once, reminding him that most people are far too consumed with their own worries to spend real energy scrutinizing anyone else's. It sounds almost too simple to be comforting, but sit with it for a second. When was the last time you spent an entire afternoon dissecting a stranger's outfit, or a co-worker's awkward comment from 3 days ago? You didn't. You had your own deadlines, your own arguments, your own quiet anxieties running in the background. A friend once froze mid-sentence during a work presentation, forgot his next point completely, stood there for what felt to him like an eternity. He was certain the room saw a disaster. Weeks later, In a casual conversation, someone from that meeting brought up the presentation and praised the data, the structure, the conclusion. The blank pause he replayed in his mind for a month had barely registered as a blip in anyone else's. That's because every person in that room was the lead actor of their own film, not a member of his audience. Their attention was pointed inward, at their own inbox, their own worries, their own version of the spotlight effect happening in their head. This is oddly freeing once you actually absorb it. You were never the villain, the fool, or the centerpiece of someone else's story. You were a passing extra in a scene they'll forget by dinner. Everyone is starring in their own film. You were never cast in theirs. Why your brain is wired to overthink this. There's a reason this fear feels so real, even when it's false. For most of human history, being judged by the group wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. Tribes that cast someone out left them without protection, without food, without survival odds. Your nervous system inherited that ancient alarm. It still fires today, even though the modern consequence of an awkward joke at dinner is exactly zero. Psychologists studying social validation have found that we're wired to crave group approval because, evolutionarily, approval meant safety. But your brain hasn't updated its threat detection for the world you actually live in. It still treats a slightly quiet room after you speak as if it were a tribal council deciding your fate. Epictetus lived in a much harsher world than yours, under an empire that could exile or execute on a whim, and he still concluded that external opinion held no real power over an internal life. If a man facing real danger from real judgment could separate his peace from other people's verdicts, the anxiety of a slightly awkward text message doesn't stand much of a chance against that same discipline. Naming the mechanism takes away its mystery. This isn't a personal flaw, it's an outdated alarm system running old software in a body built for a different era. You're allowed to notice the alarm and still choose not to obey it. Your ancestors needed that fear to survive. You just need it to be quiet. Real feedback versus imagined judgment. There's a difference worth drawing a hard line around. Real feedback and imagined judgment are not the same thing, even though they feel identical in your chest. Real feedback is rare, specific, and usually spoken directly to your face by someone who has skin in the outcome. Imagined judgment is constant, vague, and entirely generated inside your own head, with no actual source and no actual evidence. A small business owner once told me she avoided posting anything online for 2 years because she imagined customers mocking her writing style. 2 years of silence, built entirely on judgment that existed nowhere except in her own prediction of it. When she finally posted, the only comments she got were people asking where to buy the product. Nobody critiqued her grammar. Nobody was waiting to pounce. The courtroom she feared had no jury in it, just her, cross-examining herself. Seneca separated the wise response to criticism into 2 lanes. If the criticism is accurate, correct yourself and be grateful for it. If it's false, it costs you nothing, because it was never true. Notice what's missing from that framework. There's no third lane for imagined criticism that hasn't happened yet. That lane doesn't exist for a Stoic, because worrying about hypothetical judgment isn't preparation, it's just suffering in advance, for free. Handle real feedback when it arrives. Refuse to pay rent on imagined feedback that never will. What you get back when you let go. Something interesting happens the moment you genuinely stop performing for an invisible audience. You get your energy back. Every hour spent rehearsing how a conversation might be perceived, every sentence rewritten out of fear of a raised eyebrow, every choice quietly filtered through "what will they think?" that's a tax. And most people pay it for their entire life without noticing the withdrawal. A man in his 60s once said the best decade of his life was his 50s, because it was the first time he stopped explaining himself. Not because people stopped asking questions they didn't, but because he stopped needing them to approve of the answer before he gave it. He described it as suddenly having twice the hours in a day, simply because half of them used to be spent managing an audience that was never really watching. Marcus Aurelius framed it plainly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The outside event, in this case, is other people's opinions. You never had power over that. You only ever had power over how much weight you assigned it. Letting go of imagined judgment doesn't make you careless, it makes you accurate. You start responding to what's actually happening instead of a rehearsal in your head that was never going to play out that way anyway. The stage was never real, neither was the ticket price you kept paying for it. You are the only judge in the room. Here is the quiet twist under all of this. The only person who has been judging you this whole time is you, not the co-worker, not the stranger, not the room. You built the courtroom, appointed yourself prosecutor, and somehow also convinced yourself you were the accused with no defense. Epictetus said it plainly. People are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the opinions they form about those events. Nobody handed you a verdict. You wrote it, delivered it, and then lived as if someone else had passed the sentence. There's a simple test worth running the next time the old fear creeps back in. Ask exactly who is judging you, by name, not a vague everyone, a name. 9 times out of 10, you can't produce one. What you're afraid of has no face, no voice, and no actual opinion. It's a shape your own mind built and then hid from. Seneca lived through exile, through the volatile favor of an emperor, through real public scrutiny, and still arrived at the same conclusion Marcus and Epictetus did. Peace is internal, or it's nowhere. If these 3 men, facing consequences far heavier than yours, refuse to hand their peace over to a crowd, you can afford to stop handing yours over to a group chat, a comment section, or a room that forgot about you by lunchtime. Drop the gavel. Step down from the bench. Nobody else was ever sitting in it.